nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello guys, good morning. Good morning from Spain. Welcome to the second episode of Madrid Mornings. With me, your host, Lucas Navarrete. We're going to go over what happened last night at the Emirates Stadium with a very embarrassing loss for Real Madrid, 3-0 to Arsenal. Have to pretty much assume that the tie is over. We obviously had the opportunity to sleep through this loss right now, and I don't know about your feelings, but I have not gained any kind of hope about Real Madrid turning things around and making it a tie during the return leg. Let me know your thoughts and whether or not maybe you have some hope now that you have the opportunity to sleep through this again embarrassing defeat. Real Madrid never in control in that game. Oh, some of you guys haven't gone to sleep just yet, according to the chat. Anyway, you'll be able to to maybe regain some comfort after that. So again, this second episode of Madrid Mornings, this new segment we've created over at Managing Madrid, is intended for everyone, each and every one of the listeners, to get my first thoughts the morning after each and every single Real Madrid game. This is still TBD, but this might actually be the last free episode. We're thinking about it being for Patreon, so I encourage everyone to support the show on our Patreon page, and in order to make sure that they keep receiving those. Obviously, we will also kind of still create and do some of those free here and there in order to keep promoting the show and this new format and segment that I thought about. So yeah, let's just share some of my some more of my thoughts, because we were live in the post game show. I assume you have heard and you have listened to that episode as well. My main reaction is that this team, this is the end of an era for Real Madrid. Ancelotti should be sacked as soon as the season ends. I do not expect Real Madrid to come back in any way, shape, or form. I think, hope is all but lost. I saw pretty terrible body language from the players last night, kind of giving up. So I'm sure they will try to come back in a week's time when they face Arsenal at the Bernabeu. But I have, again, all hope is lost. At least for me, that this team will not be able to accomplish any kind of remontada against Arsenal. So right now it's all about La Liga and the Copa del Rey, and odds of winning La Liga are very high after what happened in the weekend. You're still in it because Barcelona dropped points against Betis as well. So yeah, you're still in it, but it's going to be extremely tough. So it's down to the Copa del Rey, which is obviously not enough for this club, considering the roster Ancelotti had at his disposal, with admittedly some flaws, definitely, in the squad construction. The squad construction was really poor, and we should also blame the board for that. But at the end of the day, also, I feel like, the quality of the players should guarantee a better playing style and better system and better end product that what Real Madrid fans are getting to see on television. Thanks for the super chat, Leul. Let's take this one. Would Toni Kroos have changed the team if he was available? I think so. I think that Toni Kroos departure, retirement has been devastating for Real Madrid. And even more so, we saw Ceballos, the team playing a lot better when Ceballos was available. Ceballos is kind of the only similar profile Real Madrid have to Toni Kroos in the current squad, and the team was starting to click with Ceballos and Tchouaméni as the midfielders. And as soon as Ceballos got hurt, the performance dropped a lot, and ultimately so did the results as well. Anyway, let's try to. This is the first time I try sharing my screen here in StreamYard. Let's see if it works. Hold on, bear with me for just a second. It should work. It should be pretty. Here it is. I think it's working. I'm pretty sure it's working. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's just go over these player ratings. They come from Matt. I tend to agree with him about his player ratings. So he has Courtois with an 8.5. I agree. I think the result should have and could have been a lot worse had it not been for Courtois. You could obviously also said we talked about this during the post-game episode, that it's true that the way he placed the wall on that first Arsenal goal should have been better. I think with an extra player, maybe it makes Rice's job way more difficult. All credit goes to Rice. I mean, it's still a golazo, but an extra player would have been better. But on the other hand, he made at least 2 or 3 very, very good saves. I wouldn't say impossible saves, but he kept Real Madrid alive during that first part of the game before Arsenal even scored. And even after Arsenal scored the first goal, or the second goal, I don't remember, he kind of also made a pretty impressive double save, which again kept Real Madrid's hopes alive. So Courtois was Real Madrid's best player, and he shouldn't be blamed for this loss. Valverde with a 5 for Matt. I agree. I think Valverde was shy offensively. Maybe this was Ancelotti's instructions because he didn't want to unleash Martinelli in transition. So I struggle blaming Valverde for that. But at the end of the day, it's true that he was kind of shy and quiet offensively when Real Madrid maybe needed an extra player to join the attacking trio. But ultimately, again, maybe it was down to Ancelotti decided not to let Martinelli influence the game offensively a lot in transition. Asensio with a 6, I agree. Quite possibly the best defender Real Madrid had on the field. Rudiger with a 5. Maybe I would actually, place him slightly, maybe quite. I would give him the same rate as Asensio, maybe. I didn't have a problem with Rudiger. Alaba with a 3, he was quite poor. I was concerned before the game, and unfortunately, my concerns were real and became true. I was very, very concerned about Alaba. I don't think Alaba is ready. And right now, I would obviously give him another pre-season to see if he's able to improve his form and his conditioning. Right now, I don't think Alaba is ready to play elite football the way his body has been damaged and the way he's recovered from his injury. It makes sense to me that he's struggling, but Real Madrid should look elsewhere during the rest of the season because he's not able to produce at a high level after his injury. Camavinga with a 6.5, he seems a bit generous to me. It's true that he grew into the game a lot. He started the first 15-20 minutes were rough for him. A couple misplaced passes. But ultimately, he grew into the game a lot. Started playing really well. Again, was intercepting many passes and tackling with very effectively. But his red card, although, at the end of the day, it doesn't cost Madrid because he was going to miss the return leg anyway after seeing the yellow card. The red card cannot be happening. Even though, again, I understand his frustration. I understand the fact that it is not costing the team after seeing the first yellow card. But you cannot do that. You cannot do that in pure frustration, and it's just a matter and a sign of things not clicking for him so far this season. Modric with a 5 makes sense. Pretty invisible performance from him. Ancelotti had no options on the bench, so what do you do, right? I mean, Modric was poor, and at the end of the day, he was. If Ancelotti was not willing to play Lucas Vázquez as a right back, which makes total sense to me, Modric was his only option as a midfielder. So yeah, what can you do? Poor squad construction in that one, and bad luck with injuries and suspensions, obviously. Bellingham with a 6 makes sense to me. Worked really hard as always, as he always does, and kind of delivered the only quote unquote assist of the game by creating that brilliant pass to Mbappe, as Matt notes in his player ratings. I also feel like Real Madrid and Ancelotti are doing Bellingham a disservice by, deploying him in this role. It's time to build around Bellingham, place Bellingham in his best spot instead of, building the squad and the whole game plan around Mbappe and Vinicius. It's time to, unleash Bellingham and stop playing him like he's a workhorse, a defensive midfielder, or just a working class midfielder, if you will. It's time to unleash him, in my opinion. We talked about this in the post game show in case you missed it. And Rodrigo, Vinicius, and Mbappe with a 2. The attacking trio was invisible. Makes sense to me. Maybe I would put Mbappe slightly above Vinicius and Rodrigo, because it's true that Mbappe has to convert that opportunity, but Vinicius and Rodrigo were completely invisible, if not even worse than that. I mean, Rodrigo was invisible. Vinicius was even worse than that, in my opinion. He was just missing every single pass, missing every single opportunity, misplacing just everything. So yeah, pretty rough night for the attacking trio, unfortunately. And obviously he has Lucas Vázquez with 4. The substitutions, to me, he shouldn't be rated anyway. Just like Fran and Brahim, makes no difference to me. So these are the match ratings. Again, this is also in the website, so make sure you read those. If you miss them, you have all the quotes. You have the post game show here as well. 3 answers, 3 questions. Every stuff in managingmadrid.com. So make sure you visit the site in order to get more news and the latest stuff about this game, and also about the upcoming games. All right, that's it for the player ratings. Okay, please answer chat question. Says, who cares? Here it is. Should we move Mbappe to right wing and get a top 9 like Osimhen? Need a top controller, top line. If I were to move Mbappe to one of the flanks, it wouldn't be the right, it would be the left. But that obviously, implies and forces you to make some tougher decisions, even with Vinicius and the squad construction. So, I lean towards no. I lean towards improving the squad in some very specific areas, like the midfield, like the defensive line. But quite possibly, I would give the attackers another opportunity to play another season. Maybe Rodrigo would be my go-to move, instead of like trying to find a replacement and a quality starter for Rodrigo's spot. Would be my choice, and not moving and deploying Mbappe elsewhere. I think the easiest improvement can be made by replacing Rodrigo in the lineup. We talked about this post game. 6 league goals is not enough from Rodrigo. His production is just not enough. Would many have performed any better? Again, we also discussed this post game. I doubt it. This was down to a very problematic trend we're seeing from Real Madrid this season, which is this team has tactical flaws, and the way this team is playing is not because one player isn't available, or because this team lacks just one thing. It's all structural issues. it's all about the way this team has been created from a tactical standpoint. Makes no sense the way the team defends. Makes no sense the way the team presses. And even the offense makes no sense to me. This team should be trying to control the ball a little bit more than they're doing at this point against the elite opposition. We're seeing a very reactionary Real Madrid team, always trying to counterattack, whereas I believe, players like Bellingham, Ceballos, when available, Rodrigo would benefit a lot more if the team had the control of the ball more often. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I would like this squad to play with the ball a little bit more than they're doing at this point, in order to help the players. Some other questions: why did Modric start? There was no other option. The option was either Modric started or Lucas Vázquez would start right back, and that would have been a disaster class. So that's basically why. In my opinion, what's going to happen right now is that obviously Ancelotti is not going to get sacked mid-season, guys. I mean, get ready and be ready for that. Ancelotti is going to end the season unless something like very, very dramatic and very big happens in the next few games. And I'm talking about the return leg against Arsenal, El Clásico in La Liga, and also the Copa del Rey final. But Ancelotti is going to be given the opportunity to write it out. I mean, he probably deserves that. To me, makes no sense. You're not. The season is pretty much over, right? So, what are you trying to accomplish by sacking Ancelotti right now in the middle of the season? I mean, if you didn't do it 3 months ago when the season was still there for the taking, there's no point in doing it now. So you just write the season out. Ancelotti obviously is gone. If Real Madrid only win the Copa del Rey, if Real Madrid don't win anything, Ancelotti is gone also. And quite possibly Xabi Alonso is your replacement. And then you work from there and see what Xabi Alonso needs to implement his coaching philosophy, to implement what he wants to accomplish in Real Madrid. Is the squad good enough for Xabi Alonso? Maybe, in my opinion, no. I mean, some other signings need to be made other than Alexander-Arnold even. So we'll see what Xabi Alonso has in mind for this current squad. I have no idea. I even have no idea whether or not Florentino will actually care about Xabi Alonso's ideas when it comes to signings. I mean, Mourinho was quite possibly the first coach in Real Madrid history who had any kind of say in the team's signings. So Ancelotti, I don't think, made any kind of final calls or decisions about signings either. Zidane did in some instances. So to me, Xabi Alonso is good enough, and he has the personality and the character to demand this kind of power. I'm not saying obviously the power to make every single signing and decide every single signing, but he should be given some kind of power and decision making about the squad in order to make the roster, accommodate the roster to his coaching philosophy. So I think that will happen. It would surprise me and shock me a lot to see a different candidate than Alonso. To me, it's going to be Alonso. Maybe Raúl also has some chances, but in my opinion, it should be Alonso, and it will be Alonso unless something dramatic happens. I do not expect. Again, what do you guys think about La Liga? To me, it's over. 4 points behind Barca. It's true that you need to beat Barca in El Clásico and then wait for Barcelona to drop more points while you win out. Doesn't sound that impossible to me, but what bothers me and what concerns me that I don't expect Real Madrid to win out in La Liga. So that's my main issue, my main concern about Real Madrid's title odds in La Liga. So if we assume that La Liga is over, if we assume that the Champions League is over, the Copa del Rey is definitely not enough for for Real Madrid to keep Ancelotti, in my opinion. I do not expect Real Madrid to keep Ancelotti with the symptoms this team has been showing for the last few months. This is quite possibly the end of an era, and Alonso will likely be your coach by the start of the summer. So yeah, big months and big weeks coming up for Real Madrid in terms of the plan for next season, the plan for the future, really, because if you sign Alonso, it's not going to be for just one season. I mean, unless he fails in dramatic fashion, he's a young coach who needs maybe some time to establish his coaching philosophy. Obviously, Real Madrid are not willing to enter a rebuilding phase at any point in their history. But on the other hand, you have to be patient with a coach like Alonso, I feel like. So this is some crucial period of time we're entering right now, with Real Madrid planning for the future and making some crucial signings here and there. We'll just have to wait and see what Alonso has in mind for this squad in terms of the way he decides to play. We know he's been liking to deploy a 5-man defensive line with Bayer Leverkusen. I don't think that will work with Real Madrid, so he will have to change his coaching philosophy and also what he likes to do, what his teams like to do on the field. Some reports saying Alonso has been asking for Zubimendi. It will make sense to me because he's not only obviously because of the Real Sociedad ties and the links with Real Sociedad between Alonso and Zubimendi, obviously, but I believe Alonso will like pass first defensive midfielder like Zubimendi, and not a pure defensive midfielder like Tchouaméni. I feel that Alonso will like to build his midfield around a player with a profile like Zubimendi or like Alonso himself in the past. I believe that's the way he wants to play football. So we'll have to wait and see whether Real Madrid are willing to accept that coaching philosophy, or whether or not they just say, hey, Alonso, this is your squad. Build your team around the squad you have right now. We are not going to accommodate our roster to your coaching philosophy right now. It's too costly to sell so many players and sign so many players in one instance. Anyway, guys, these are my 2 cents. Again, I suggest and encourage you to become a Patreons, because from now on, quite possibly this segment will go for Patreons only. If you like them, if you like this new segment, hopefully you'll become a Patreon and get those. Again, strategically, we'll probably also keep some of those open, quite possibly in order to keep promoting this segment. Thank you guys for being here. Stay tuned to managingmadrid.com. More stuff coming, obviously, for the next few hours, the next few days, discussing and breaking down what happened last night at the Emirates, because I think what happened has big implications towards Real Madrid's future. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you guys. Peace out.